okay on both sides. Gentlemen, we went over the rules in the dressing room. I want to caution you right now to keep this fight clean at all times, protect yourself at all times, and what I say you must obey. Good luck, Brother Swate. Touch him up.
This episode of the podcast is being recorded on May 12th, 2019. Woo! Ladies and gentlemen, I'm Abe, and welcome to Have Fun on the Indies. Welcome back to Have Fun on the Indies. You can catch us on Twitter. You can catch us on Instagram. You can catch us on Facebook. All you have to do is use the handle @HaveFunOTI. That's @HaveFunOTI. There, you'll find all of our links where your beautiful, beautiful face can click on any of our websites where all of these wonderfully underrated podcast episodes are posted. You can catch us on YouTube, Vimeo, and you can download all of our MP3s over at SoundCloud. And with that being said, ladies and gentlemen, get up, make yourself comfortable. Go to the kitchen, get yourself a nice beverage, maybe a nice cold glass of lemonade, maybe a nice icy cup of nice cold refreshing water, maybe some kombucha, because you're healthy and strong. Or you can do what I did, and since I'm broke, son, you can buy this disgustingly gross 40, whose brand I'm not going to name, but I got to tell you, I'm going to puke. Now, before I puke, here's what we're going to do, ladies and gentlemen. You're going to get that beverage. You're going to bust out your phone, your tablet, or sit in front of your computer. And you're going to get those hands out. And you're going to put them straight down my pants. The same way Vince McMahon makes people kiss his ass. Just kidding. You're going to take those hands and you're going to clickety-clack. You're going to chat with your friends, you're going to chat with your family, you're going to keyboard it up on all those forums and talk. You're going to talk about Have Fun on the Indies, because right now we're about to open that door to that wasteland that's called professional wrestling, the land of the misfit toys. The land where when you open that door, that is the professional wrestling door, you see Vince McMahon getting his ass kissed. You see Kenny Omega being a bigger star than almost anybody in the WWE. And you see Triple H begging the wrestling gods above to have a little bit more creative power, because it seems to me like he actually gives a fuck. So, now that we're deep inside this professional wrestling room, just like last week, let's start off by talking about the biggest topic right now. Because in a matter of weeks, we have All Elite Wrestling's Double or Nothing. And I'm pretty sure their card is finalized by now. But I'm going to go on their website, which, now that I'm clicking on it, isn't really a website. It just redirects you to all their social media pages, which, I mean, you can't blame them. That's where we get all of our news now. Like, who the fuck needs a website, right? God damn, this podcast needs a website. Please help me, AEW. Anyways, let's take a look at some of the card, because I haven't really looked at the whole thing. Here's a match. Hangman Page versus Pac. Not bad. Straight wrestling. Take my money. Ooh, look at this one. AAA World Tag Team Championship. The Young Bucks versus the Lucha Bros. Holy crap. Take my freaking money again. And it keeps going up. Cody Rhodes versus Dustin Rhodes. What made that match? The freaking promo Cody Rhodes did last week. We played some of it on this podcast. I hope some of you guys watched the whole thing. Take my money. Take my check. Do you need my social security number? Dear Lord. And then we cap it up with Kenny Omega versus Chris Jericho. Alpha versus Omega 2. Take it. Take it all. The house that I don't even own yet. Take it. The broken, busted-ass car that I have to drive to work every day. Take it, because it's all I got. Holy crap. Obviously, this pay-per-view is going to be a huge deal. With all those matches, just those matches alone, it's impossible for this show to fail. The only question is it going to be as good as All In? Because when I look back at All In, and I rewatch the show about 2 or 3 times just to make sure I don't spat out these fucking quotes and make myself look like a fool, All In was 100% one of the best wrestling shows I've ever seen in my life. And that's including WrestleManias, that's including SummerSlams, that's including a lot of these Noah shows that used to draw huge crowds at these stadiums. That All In show had the wrestling, had the entertainment, it even had the comedic value. I usually hate the whole Joey Ryan penis thing, but it fit so perfectly in that show. It's insane. And like I said, Kenny Omega versus Chris Jericho, the Young Bucks versus Lucha Bros, Hangman Page versus Pac, that has the wrestling down to a T. You're going to get insanely badass matches. And Cody Rhodes versus Dustin Rhodes is going to be your, I don't want to say WWE style match, but it's going to be that kind of match that has a lot of story behind it, which makes it to where the wrestlers are going to have to make a story in the ring. And the whole story here, in my opinion, is that Cody Rhodes is a fucking genius. Cody Rhodes' gimmick right now is he hates the Attitude Era. He hates the Attitude Era because the Attitude Era didn't press on the pedal hard enough and didn't push the boundaries, the creative boundaries of professional wrestling. Now, that hurts a little, Cody, because it hurts a lot of us a little, because the Attitude Era is what we remember. The Attitude Era is what made us not only love wrestling, because we already loved it, but it took us over the top. I understand where he's coming from. I think Cody's a freaking genius. He probably sat there and said, what the fuck does everybody love right now? What's the one thing that everybody loves in professional wrestling? They've seen everything. They've seen all the New Japan flying stuff. They've seen everything. What have they forgotten about, but yet still have a place in their hearts for? And that's the Attitude Era. So Cody Rhodes is grabbing that knife and he's digging it in and digging it in. And we can't watch. And we can't wait to watch, because quite frankly, I wanted Cody Rhodes to beat Dustin Rhodes. But you're going to talk shit about the Attitude Era? God, I love Cody Rhodes, though. But I'm going for Dustin, just because he's the Attitude Era. Stop trying to take over our era. Anyways, I'm definitely going to try to order this pay-per-view. And here's the reason why I say try. So, there was an article on pwinsider.com, I think it was, but it got a little bit updated over at wrestlinginc.com. But I'm going to go straight to the PW Insider one because they're my go-to guys. And Dave Scherer had this to say. Now that we are less than 2 weeks, and I quote, now that we are less than 2 weeks until All Elite Wrestling's Double or Nothing pay-per-view, program guides for services like Xfinity and Cox that use In Demand are now listing the pay-per-view as airing on Saturday, May 25th. Awesome. I'm fucking there. The Xfinity guide lists a price of $59.95. Man, that's rough. And that's rough because you can get all WWE pay-per-views for a much lower price with the network. Even Ring of Honor and New Japan, you can get a bunch of their shows for a much lesser price. Now, is this AEW Double or Nothing going to be worth the $60? If it's anything like All In, obviously it's going to be worth the $60. 100% it's going to be worth the $60. The fact that it feels like we're watching a revolution alone is worth the $60. But getting people to part with $60 for one night of professional wrestling is going to be rough. I'm going to try to order it, but if I can't order it my own self, I'm going to try to team up with a buddy and order it. I want to support the pay-per-view, even though I'm a huge WWE fan and I'm a WWE guy through and through. I'm going to try to order this pay-per-view and support them because the more places to work, the better for all these wrestlers. And besides that little bit of bad news, which we don't really know if it's bad news that it's $60 because it could still do well. We don't know. We can't see the future. They had a bit of good news, AEW did recently. They've landed a TV deal. And they've landed a pretty damn good TV deal. There was a lot of rumors about where they were going to end up, and is it going to be worth it? Is it going to be freaking Pop or freaking Channel 14 like back in the day with ECW, some local station that barely gets any viewers? Well, no, that's not what's going to fucking happen. Because they're going to be on TNT. And TNT is a pretty good channel to be on. It's basically TBS. Now, me personally, I would have preferred them to be on TBS. I mean, TBS has had wrestling before. I feel like it's watched more than TNT. I couldn't show you the numbers, but they couldn't have chosen a better place to start off than TNT. I've heard a lot of people say they should have gone to Spike or the Paramount Network because they have a lot of experience with professional wrestling, from Monday Night Raw to Impact. Hell, at one point, I think when they were TNN, they had ECW. But that station is done with professional wrestling. They're trying to get into the MMA business because they're, I don't know, I think a guy there, I heard rumors that there's a guy that's pissed that the UFC left and the way they did. They feel like they made the UFC. But they're done with the professional wrestling business. As of right now, they have Bellator, who's they're focusing all their attention on in terms of entertainment of that kind. But even then, it's kind of hard because Bellator is going to DAZN now. They're having a bunch of shows on DAZN. So I don't know. In my opinion, I'm glad AEW got that TV deal. And here's the fucking question. Here's a real good question. All those guys are obviously very passionate about professional wrestling. From Cody Rhodes, Kenny Omega, the Young Bucks, the one thing that you can feel from them, not just in their matches, but their promos and their essence, is the fact that they're fans. They're fans the way we're fans. They love this shit, which means that their creative minds are probably going 1,000 fucking miles a minute. And they probably have really good ideas. But I have a question. After a good 5-6 years, is every single one of their shows still going to be a hit? Or are they going to realize what apparently none of the fans have fucking realized, and that's that making original content week after week, whether it be an hour and a half, or 2 hours, hell, even 3, is hard. Incredibly hard. It's going to be a true test because there's going to come a time where AEW is going to peak the way every other company has peaked. And that doesn't mean that when it peaks, it's going to be the end of it. It's going to be that's it. They can't get any higher. No, it's going to mean that they're going to go through a little bit of time where things are going to be stagnant, just like all wrestling companies do. And we're going to see what they're made of because it's going to be really hard for these guys who are professional wrestlers to come up with storylines, plus do their bookings, plus come up with creative ways to put on matches in front of all these venues and all over the world. We'll see how it goes. I, for one, wish them luck. I mean, what else can you do? You want to hate on these fucking people. They have their heart and soul set on this whole thing. But when you want to talk about TV deals, AEW from the beginning kind of had a good amount of TV offers from a bunch of people. They were all pretty good. Rumors were running rampant all over the place. And it's crazy because they did land on TNT. But I promise you, they probably had to work real hard to come up with a deal of that sort. And when you flip the page on the other side, you have a WWE product, which in my opinion, it's kind of a WWE product. I guess it's more of a Vince McMahon product called the XFL. Now, we're sitting here thinking, so AEW got a TV deal, a weekly TV deal. They worked real hard to get it. Well, XFL apparently doesn't even have to work hard to get it because ABC is going to air it. ESPN is going to air it. Fox Sports is going to air it. And FS1 is going to air it. Boom. 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 Holy crap. Vince has connections. So much connections that his football league is going to be on all major stations. I mean, you can hate on the WWE all you want. You can hate on Vince all you want. But this is... I mean, it's goddamn impressive that just like that, they're all over the place. Hey, whatever. I'm not a football guy. I'm not a big football guy. I'm not a big XFL guy. We'll see how it goes. I mean, the first time around, obviously, it was a disaster. This time around, I'm sure they're going to change some things, and they'll figure it out. So now that we're on the WWE train, all kinds of weird shit happened on Monday Night Raw this past week. For example, they have something called the wild card rules now. Vince McMahon has wild card rules that is throwing everybody into a fucking hissy where apparently a few superstars can actually move between brands every other week, but not more than once. It's a disaster. Shit's becoming too confusing. I understand they're trying to make it different and more exciting, and maybe if you cross-pollinate superstars from each brand. You'll get exciting matchups. I get it. I understand it. But holy crap, then what's the point of the brand split? I will agree on that. I like the brand split. I think it's a great idea. But holy crap, this is insane. What are you doing? What are we doing here? Are we not going to build angles anymore? Or what? What's going on? You got Becky 2 belts all over the fucking place. Roman Reigns showing up. Vince McMahon speaking nonsense in the middle of the ring. I don't know. It's super confusing. I guess here's a little article about it on WWE.com of all places. Let's see if I can see what the rules are for this thing. Let me click on this. All right, let's read a little bit of it. An article on WWE.com called Mr. McMahon's new wildcard rule explained. Because, dear Lord, please explain. We're all wondering. The latest wrinkle in the ongoing superstar shakeup emerged this Monday on Raw when Mr. McMahon announced the new wildcard rule in which a limited number of superstars from Raw or SmackDown would be invited to cross brand lines for one-night-only appearances, with unauthorized jumps to be penalized by fines or even potential firing. What? The number of crossover superstars was initially capped at 3. So 3 superstars can go to another show for one appearance only? Dear fucking God. Whatever. I mean, what else is there to say? If you want to look at this positively, it's going to create a lot of interesting matches that we probably wouldn't be able to see if these guys were on different brands all the time. But it's just so fucking weird how all of a sudden like this, the ratings started plummeting and Vince seems like he's in panic mode and just coming up with all this crazy insanity because he thinks all this randomness is going to draw views the way it did back then. But people are desensitized to all this randomness. They want shit that makes sense now. Which brings me to my next point. You know what used to make sense? Actually, hold on a minute here. Before I start fucking ADDing and fucking my CTE starts taking over. There's more WWE Raw stuff that I'm reading here. Oh my God. Is this for real? Because this cannot be right what I am reading right now. So, the Revival had Icy Hot put in their trunks. What are we doing? Dear Lord. Are you that pissed off that they didn't want $2 million? Holy crap. They had Icy Hot put in their trunks. I don't understand. Why aren't they getting the Dean Ambrose treatment? Obviously, the Revival is good for the business. You can feel the love they have for this shit. They're one of the best tag teams in the world. Ladies and gentlemen, I think that's it for Raw. I mean, dear Lord, that is crazy. The hate that some of these guys get after putting in all that work and after showing the WWE that these guys are probably WWE fans since they were kids. It's a downer. But hey, maybe this is just a storm that WWE is going through. Maybe we'll weather this storm and things will get better for everybody. So with that being said, with Icy Hot being said, we're going to go to SmackDown. SmackDown has been a pretty good show lately. Let's see here. Daniel Bryan and Rowan defeated the Usos for the tag team titles. That's cool. I'm always down for Daniel Bryan things. I wonder if this has anything to do with them trying to slow down Daniel Bryan a little bit because of the hell scare that was rumored. I mean, he's on TV. He's being used. He still gets to wrestle, even though if it's a tag team thing now. I don't know. I've been watching that guy for years, and I'm not going to stop now. We also had a 3-way match where Kingston defeated AJ Styles and Sami Zayn. I mean, holy crap. This wasn't bad at all. I mean, Kofi Kingston's getting the push, and while I'm not the biggest Kofi Kingston fan, he obviously deserves it. Let's see, he won on Raw. Huge win on Monday Night Raw versus Daniel Bryan, and now over Styles and Zayn. Clean, too, I think, from what I remember, if I remember correctly. Good for him. I mean, he's been there for a lot of years. Whether his title reign is memorable or not is to be seen. I'll remember that guy. I'll remember that guy just for not giving the fuck up, especially when you're part of the, they started making him be wacky with all the pancakes and fucking all this crazy shit that they were doing. Somehow the wackiness got serious and it works. it all works, and it's working for Kofi Kingston right now, and you can't help but be happy for the guy. You can't fucking hate on a man that's worked this many years on a craft, finally gets his shot, wins the belt, and the WWE at least does him right by not making him drop it like 3 days later. It is what it is. I enjoy Kofi Kingston for what he is. He's a really good wrestler. Not my favorite character, but he's a really good wrestler. You know what's insane? Sometimes I sit here and I think about a lot of guys that would be great for WWE, but a lot of times they just don't make it. And there was a lot of guys from Ring of Honor. Ring of Honor was the company that years ago kept the wrestling world afloat when WWE started becoming stale and everybody started getting bored of WWE. Ring of Honor was AEW of back then. It was awesome to watch Ring of Honor. That kept me interested in the business for a very long time. I remember all kinds of wrestlers from there, and sometimes I wonder, what the fuck? Why didn't some of these guys get contracts? For example, Homicide. I mean, let's face it, that man is something else. Homicide was hella badass. The first time I seen Homicide, I'll admit it, I was guilty. I gave him the Samoa Joe treatment. And this is what I mean by that. The first time I saw Samoa Joe, it was him versus Loki. In some high school gymnasium, it was still packed. They had announcers. It still looked like a professional wrestling show. It was very well set up, but it was him versus Loki. And as soon as Samoa Joe came out, Loki came out, I thought, man, this guy looks badass. He looks creepy. He looks like he's ready to punch somebody in the face. Then as soon as I saw Samoa Joe come out, me and my friend skipped the match. And we didn't watch that match for months. Anytime Samoa Joe came out, we'd skip it because of his body shape. For whatever reason that may be. Probably from years of watching main event guys having to be jacked up bodybuilders. And I remember the first time I saw Homicide come out, the first wrestler that came to mind was New Jack. Now, don't get me wrong, I love New Jack. Please, New Jack, don't stab me in the face like you did that old man at that one indie. Please, New Jack. Anyways, I'll repeat, I love New Jack. I'm going to go out on a limb and say that he was one of the first ones to start jumping off crazy ass high places on the daily. Entertaining as fuck. One of the things that I enjoyed watching in ECW. But man, to watch a whole 15-minute match with the guy, sometimes it can be a little bit brutal. You know, he wasn't always the most impactful wrestler. He can hit really hard with weapons. His moveset was kind of limited. Even the way he sold and the way he worked was a little bit, you know, sluggish at times. It was what it was. I was thinking Homicide was going to be the same. Wrong. Homicide was the fucking shit. He was awesome. He knew how to make that hardcore style of wrestling not suck and make it all garbagey. He knew how to wrestle and he knew how to do fucking hardcore style without making it look like crap. And his promo skills, man, his promo skills were good. It went with his character to a fucking T. Now, there was a lot of fucks, a lot of cussing, and a lot of graphic things he would say, but for him, in Ring of Honor, it worked a lot. The thing I remember most about him where I was like, this guy needs to go in WWE, even if they tone him down a bit. He can still be insane there. Even if he's toned down, was his giant feud he had with Steve Corino. Dude, thinking about that Steve Corino feud is giving me a boner. It got so fucking personal. I remember the first thing I saw from it was ROH went to New York for their 1-year anniversary show. Or one of their anniversary shows, might have been their second or 1-year one. And shit got crazy fast. Homicide was in his hometown of Queens. Steve Corino was acting like your typical douchebag that everybody fucking hated. And Homicide was so bloodthirsty to fuck him up. And you know who else was bloodthirsty? Everybody in fucking Queens. Everybody in Queens wanted Steve Corino to be maimed. Well, here's the way the booking went, and my God, it was genius. Corino wins due to outside interference. I start laughing because now the crowd is hot and pissed. So I'm laughing, and the next thing you know, boom! Corino puts on a sleeper on Homicide, and the crowd rushes the ring and riots. And now, here's the difference. The way the crowd rushed the ring, the way they were dressed, the way it looked very, very real for a professional wrestling angle at the time. Super real. The fucking feud continued, and a bunch of other crap happened. Things like Homicide trying to kill Steve Carino, literally. Him stabbing Carino in the arm until it's dripping blood everywhere. Later on, fucking Homicide continues his greatness by fucking snapping and trying to kill Colt Cabana by pouring Drano down his throat. Fuck, dude. God, he was awesome. He was an awesome wrestler, and he didn't get his due in TNA. He was part of LAX, which was cool. LAX was very edgy and very cutting edge for TNA at the time. He was good in that group, but he was never allowed to talk. He was never really allowed to shine as big as he did in Ring of Honor. And it's a damn shame, because if WWE wants to have all these gangsta characters that they used to have sometimes, Homicide would have been perfect. They needed someone like him. But, you know, he's making the rounds, just he's not as famous as, say, some of his other buddies like AJ Styles and Daniel Bryan and even Loki. He didn't get as far as Loki either. But I'll always watch Homicide. I like him. Here's another one that was pretty crazy. Amazing Red. Amazing Red doing insane shit in the air that nowadays is pretty normal, I guess. I don't know, this is one of the guys that showed me that you can fucking defy gravity. First time I ever saw corkscrews on the ground, not off the top rope. First time I saw the code red. First time I saw a man be so athletic that I will yell at the top of my fucking lungs every chance I got because WWE wouldn't pick him up. The match to watch with this guy was him versus Loki. I think I looked it up on the internet. I'm pretty sure it was at ROH Road to the Title. And the first minute of that match was insane. Someone online called it the Matrix Minute. I posted it on our @HaveFunOTI Instagram. It was so badass. The quality's abysmal, but that first minute showed what Ring of Honor was. That first minute was the epitome of professional wrestling. It was insanely badass. And here's another thing I remember about Ring of Honor. The tag team division. The Briscoes, the SATs, Dan Moff and Monster Mac. Fucking scramble matches that left your mind scrambled. It's a damn shame the Briscoes, above all, have never been in the WWE. And at the time, the WWE did have some good tag teams. They've had good tag teams in the past. It's a damn shame that the SATs weren't there either. Man, those scramble matches were something to remember. If you guys can track those down, I suggest you do it. I'm sure they live up to the hype nowadays. They live up through the stages of time, guaranteed. Scramble matches, for some of you guys that didn't know, were these matches that were usually 3 or 4 tag teams against each other, but it was only 2 guys in the ring at the same time. So people still had to be on the outside. You could tag anybody in, from what I remember. Tags didn't have to happen. That's right. I don't think you could tag either anybody in, or tags didn't have to happen. I can't remember how it was. Sometimes the action would spill to the outside and 2 other guys would just come in and start wrestling. It was insane shit. Someone needs to give the Briscoes their due. They need to go into some sort of fucking Hall of Fame. They've been at it since they were like 17 years old. And even their first few matches as rookies were badass. They were so crisp and clean at that age with everything they did. They went to Japan and they killed it. They pretty much are Ring of Honor. They always stayed with Ring of Honor, and I wonder if it was them who chose not to go to the E, or the E who chose never to give them a shot because of the way they looked or the way their promos were. Because back in the day, WWE was really anal about stuff like that. And here's the last one that I remember that did become famous, and almost fucking made it. Almost made it. But people say his attitude didn't allow it to happen. One of my favorites above and beyond from Ring of Honor. And that's Loki. I've seen Loki in some of the most insane matches on the planet. I've seen Loki in Japan kicking people's faces off. I saw Loki grab a kid in Ring of Honor, smash his face with his Kawada kicks. Because at the time, I had never seen Kawada, but apparently Loki was channeling Kawada as he's kicking people over and over and over again. And, you know, it's one of those guys where you wonder if he almost sabotaged his own career because he took it just way too seriously. You know, at least that's what's rumored. Hell, even Kenny Omega has brought that up, that Loki takes the professional wrestling art very seriously and doesn't like a lot of the wacky, funny stuff that goes along with it. That could be a detriment. Everybody who's been anybody in the professional wrestling business has had to swallow their pride sometimes. Everybody. And I'm sorry, but Loki would have had to be no different. Triple H did it. Shawn Michaels did it. Bret Hart didn't do it. And look what happened there. It's just part of the business. It's just part of the business. So, I think that's all I have for professional wrestling today. And, you know what we're going to do? We're going to go to the dirt sheets real quick and see if there's anything of interest we can talk about before we end this segment. I'm going straight to PW Insider first. Because at the end of this segment, we're going to do something called I'm Gonna Snap. That's how we're going to transition from now on, from one segment to the other. From professional wrestling to MMA to the boxing. We're going to transition at the end of every one of those things with I'm Gonna Snap. Sometimes I read some dumb shit that just pisses me off from people that think they know these things. Let's see here. They have an article on AEW Double or Nothing pay-per-view, which we got into already. Ring of Honor has been having their War of the Worlds for days on end now. So that's pretty cool. Austin Aries is an MLW now. MLW seems to be getting some badass wrestlers. I can't wait to see him if he ever gets him versus Loki in there. That'd be nice. A little bit of bad news. Silver King passed away. I remember watching him all over the freaking place. That guy was everywhere. R.I.P. to him. Here, let's see. Let's go now to Wrestling Inc. Maybe they have a couple of things. Now they have the Austin Aries heading to MLW. That's becoming a pretty big deal. Here, they have Goldberg starting training to come back to WWE. Maybe I should have researched that a little. I mean, I'm not a huge fan of Goldberg. Speculation, apparently, is he's going to be up against Bobby Lashley. Goldberg's a man. I mean, think about it. He might not have been the best wrestler, but he's remembered for the insanity that he caused over in WCW, was spearing people all over the place. And if you really want to get deep with it, he's kind of smart. He was not a WWE staple. He really isn't a WWE superstar. He's not a WWE legend by any means, but yet he has the Undertaker schedule. Bill Goldberg has the Undertaker schedule where he'll do a couple angles, he'll bolt, and comes back whenever the hell he wants. I mean, I'm assuming WWE sees him as a draw because I'm on his Instagram right now and it shows that he has 1.6 million followers. So there must be something there financially. What else can be said? You know, the man's been around forever. He does know the business, and you got to be a smart motherfucker to not be that close with the WWE but still be getting the kind of schedule that people like Taker and Cena get. Good for him. You can't hate. I mean, good for him. All right, let's see here. I think this is it for professional wrestling, folks. So here's how we're going to end it. With something I called I'm Gonna Snap. This is where I go around Twitter or forums or just articles where people leave comments, and I read these comments, and sometimes I get pissed. Sometimes I just have opinions on them. We'll see what happens. Here, I visited a forum called WrestlingForums.com, and I read a thread by a guy named #BestForBusiness. Now, this guy, #BestForBusiness, made a thread called WWE Fires Head Writer of Raw. I mean, that's rough. What can you do? You know, the ratings are rough, and people are probably saying we need to change things, but let's see what this guy says. WWE is going through some very dark days at the moment, and each passing day, it sounds like it's getting worse and worse. That's normal, right? Up until this part. And I am loving every second of it. There you go, ladies and gentlemen. #BestForBusiness is apparently not best for business. Apparently, #BestForBusiness is better at cleaning toilets. Because are you fucking kidding me? You are happy that the WWE is doing bad. You're fucking happy about it. Good wrestling fan you are. Yeah, we need you to help the business stay afloat when it's in dark times, douchebag. Now let's see what he says, because this guy's obviously intelligent. Vince has his head so far up his ass that he honestly deserves to watch the very thing he built be burned to the ground. Look at that. Such a peach. He is one of the most stubborn men on the planet and just won't budge. It's astonishing how many writers have quit, gotten fired, or demoted themselves as a writer because they were sick of Vince changing everything. Oh, I'm sorry. I'm sorry, a multi-million dollar company, which at one point could have been a multi-billion or probably is a multi-billion dollar company, has changes of staff every so often. I'm sorry, is that fucking something different? Is that not par for the course in every company that's successful? People have ideas, people change careers, people sometimes don't agree on things, and guess what? They leave. They fucking leave sometimes. It's what happens in every fucking company on the planet. From WWE to fucking Amazon to fucking TV shows, Hollywood movies, it happens. This guy's an idiot. And look at this guy. Here's the hilarious part. None of these writers mean shit anyways, because at the end of the day, Vince still makes all the calls. It's pretty fucking poor for a company where every single week they do 1 million rewrites for a 3-hour show, and at times they literally finish the script mere minutes before airtime and they write the show as they go on. Look at that. They bitch about they want spontaneity and they want things to be crazy, but yet they bitch when they write before the show goes on. As the show goes on, which has been happening forever, and nobody bitched about it when it was happening in the Attitude Era. Also, really? Why do you think they do so many rewrites? Huh? Why do you think that fucking is for a 3-hour show that has to be original week in and week out? Week in and week out. No off season. Why the fuck do you think that is? Huh? Because that's called writing and editing, and you probably had to go to school and college and university to learn this shit, and not be Cheeto-fingered talking shit about how you wish Vince McMahon's dream burned to the ground and how you wish the WWE failed. The hell's the matter with you? You, my friend, hashtag best for business, you are what's not needed in the wrestling business. You, my friend, are not good for business. You are a mark. Hashtag best for business, you made me snap. Congratulations. And with that being said, ladies and gentlemen, we're going to close that professional wrestling door. And we're going to go straight into the boxing ring. The smoky arena with all the lights and the violence, the punching in the face over and over again. That's what we're going to get into. Because boxing business has been a booming. Let's see what I got here, folks. Before I start clicking everything. What the... Oh, here's what I got, folks. You want to know what's great? Is my beers all over the place. Beer on the desk. Beer on the carpet. Beer on my shorts. You gotta love it. You gotta love it, right? So what I'm going to do here is I'm going to try to get nothing on the keyboard as I continue to talk now that I reek of beer. Dear Lord. Can this be more of a disaster, ladies and gentlemen? Can this podcast be more of a disaster? I lose my co-host. I have to go to a different office. We're in the struggle, ladies and gentlemen. But here, I got it. I got you. You know I love you. I wouldn't leave you hanging. Here we go. So... here's the first thing I noticed this week. There was a lot of Canelo talk because a few weeks ago, last week, we talked about how Canelo was the biggest star in professional boxing by far right now. But there's somebody that's, clicking at his heels. And that person is Anthony Joshua. And it's pretty crazy because Anthony Joshua is a heavyweight. And historically... heavyweights are by far the biggest draws. Their fights are very exciting because they're huge. A punch can end the fight at any time. They're usually the top draws in this sport. And basically almost any combat sport. So I just started looking at the numbers because Anthony Joshua is just blowing up. He's been a big deal in Europe, but he's just blowing up. And Canelo's been a big deal for a while now. So let's look at some of their numbers. If I can somehow see them. Here you go. Maybe I can get a rough estimate of Canelo's numbers. Let's see what some of the few fights that Canelo's had. Let's see, in 2018 versus Gennady Golovkin 2. Well, here, let's start here. September 16, 2017, Canelo versus Gennady drew 1.3 million in sales. I'm assuming that's pay-per-view sales. Yep. With the revenue of $100 million. Dear Lord, that's insane. The Canelo Alvarez versus Gennady Golovkin 2 did a little bit lower in sales. They only did 1,100,000 sales, but their revenue was $117 million. Man, that is not too shabby. Let's see if we can find some of Anthony Joshua's shit. Like I said, he hasn't been as popular. Here's one from... Well, here's a big... Hold on. Here's one that was kind of hyped up that I was very excited to watch. This was 2015. It was Anthony Joshua versus Dillian White on Sky Box Office. 420,000 buys. Let's see here. Anthony Joshua versus Vladimir Klitschko, which was a big one, which is where he started blowing up. This was the fight that was supposed to have him, Klitschko pass the torch to this young guy who is incredible on the microphone, great boxer, looks the part. That fight, Vladimir Klitschko versus Anthony Joshua, drew 1,532,000 buys. That wasn't too shabby. Then things went down a little bit when he fought Carlos Takam. That was 887,000. Then the Joseph Parker fight went way back up because that could have been an incredibly competitive fight. It was 1,457,000. And then his last fight, which was against Alexander Povetkin, I want to say, if I remember correctly, was in the millions also, 1,113,000. So that goes to show you, Anthony Joshua is nipping at the heels as the most powerful draw in all of boxing, as the most lucrative boxer in modern times. He went from doing 420,000 buys to close to 1,500,000. That is freaking good. Let's see what Canelo's biggest one was. Let's see. He had the Golovkin 2 fights, 117 million. Man, that can be rough. Because here's another thing that you have to take into account. When Canelo fights, he's drawing all these million buys, right? However, those pay-per-views are expensive. They're like $70. And over in Europe, where Anthony Joshua fights, those pay-per-views are... Some of them aren't even on pay-per-view. Some of them, all you have to do is sign up for a channel, and you'll get those fights. And they're not as bad. They're like $20. So it's a whole different ballgame. If Anthony Joshua can start making people shell out $70 for his fights, and he's drawing those kinds of numbers, forget about it. I mean, that's awesome. That's awesome for everybody. But yeah, it's a very interesting time in the boxing world. Especially with things like that. You have all these guys vying for that top dog spot. With the heavyweights, it seems like they're going to take over the whole thing. I mean, I know you still have other stars in boxing like Keith Thurman. You have a bunch of people. But in the heavyweight division, it's just blown up. Dillian White's still there. Deontay Wilder, Tyson Fury. Let's see Tyson Fury's numbers. Has Tyson Fury done a lot of pay-per-views? Is the question. Let's see here. I think I seen one earlier. Let's go. No, I can't really find any Tyson Fury stuff. I'm going to have to research that and compare Tyson Fury, because Tyson Fury at one point was a hell of a talker. And after he beat Klitschko, he kind of became a big deal also. Man, Klitschko's been passing that torch to everybody, hasn't he? Let's see if I can find a Tyson. Yep, here's one. Vladimir Klitschko, Tyson Fury. Dear Lord, on Sky Box Office. It didn't draw as much as you would think. 545,000. Which is not bad. It's good, but it's not what you would think. That's about the only Fury one that I see that drew huge numbers. I wonder what that Fury Wilder drew. Let me Google that. Don't we all believe in Google, as Deontay Wilder said? This is Fury pay-per-view numbers. Well, it says, here's an article from ESPN.com. Reportedly, it drew... It says, Showtime's delayed broadcast of the fight. That's the delayed broadcast. Let's see what the live fight did. Oh, they're saying it drew close to 325,000 buys, which isn't bad either. I mean, it's just unbelievable to me that Deontay Wilder's not more famous. His aura, the way he fights, the way he looks at people, the way his press conferences go. Man, what the fuck? This guy needs to be way more popular than at 325,000 buys. The pay-per-view didn't gross too badly, though, around $24 million. But they're saying here, who's writing this? Dan Rafael saying here that they did get 325,000 buys. The pay-per-view grossed $24 million, but half of that $24 million goes to the cable and satellite providers, which goes to show you everybody needs to go on DAZN. Everybody needs to fucking go to something like DAZN, streaming shit. Or maybe even TV like ESPN and base it off ratings like that. Because this whole pay-per-view model where you're shelling out all this money, and even if you do have a great draw and you make tons of money on pay-per-view, the cable and satellite companies take half of it. It's just the way it goes. They have to get paid too. They're the ones using the technology to do this shit. And, speaking of Deontay Wilder, man, him and Dominic Breazeale has been starting to make this shit hella personal. They're having a fight here soon. I think it's in about a week and a half. And things are getting insane. Here a few weeks ago, they had a press conference for it. And things got heated. Apparently, this thing got very personal because after one of Breazeale's fights, he was in the back. And Deontay Wilder somehow approached him to talk to him about something. Somehow, some way, Deontay Wilder's brother ended up socking him in the face. A whole melee ensued. Breazeale's kids were there. All kinds of crazy shit happened. I think Breazeale might be able to explain a little bit of it. I think I got a little audio clip here from that stuff. And let's see if we can get a little bit of a clarification. This was from the press conference. And, yeah, it's an interesting, these grudge matches. This goes to show you, before I start this audio clip, this goes to show you things can be built up organically. In professional wrestling, everything's built around angles. In fights, everything is starting to be built around angles. This feud has become organic. It didn't need nothing more. It's a very real feud. It feels real. And these guys aren't putting on a show. It goes to show you don't always have to build up fake hatred to have a fight that has a huge buzz around it. It can happen organically. I understand. Sometimes it has to be done. Angles, as they're called in professional wrestling, have to be done sometimes in boxing and in MMA. But there's times where you just don't believe it. And it takes away the realness from it all. At the end of the day, we have to accept the fact that in order to sell in this society, sell pay-per-views for fights, you have to make them, the pre-fight, more entertaining. I understand. I guess I'm saying if you're going to do it, either let it happen organically, or you better start practicing your promos in the mirror so you don't come off looking like a tool. Because sometimes there's these fighters that understand the business side. Okay, I understand I have to be controversial. I understand I have to have some sort of gimmick to get over, get the pay-per-view fans to buy it, and maybe I can keep becoming a star. But bro, if that's what you're going to do, you gotta start learning how to cut promos. And I'm saying that to the boxers and MMA fighters that are trying to do that. They have to start learning how to cut promos if that's the route you're gonna do. Because if not, you can take a match that has huge potential to do well, and you can turn it so fake that it turns a lot of people off. Just my 2 cents. And here's the perfect example of it feeling real, of it being real. And that's the reason why this fight has this buzz around it. It's a grudge match. It's an old school grudge match. And here's Breazeale talking about some of the stuff leading up to the fight and talking about Deontay Wilder and such. So let me volume up here and let's go.
The night I knocked Izu out of the ring in one round of the year, that was stolen from me because of the fact that Deontay Wilder, also known as the Chump, and his punk-ass brother decided they want to run a nonsense situation inside of an Alabama hotel lobby room. I come downstairs to have dinner with my wife and kids. Mind you, my wife and kids, my cornerman, we're going to dinner after a fight, gladiator fight. I get off the elevator, Izu's there. The guy just knocked out of the ring, KO'd. We handshake,
you heard
take
me
some
asking
photos.
For you. You knew I was looking for you.
Me.
You can tell
I
when I
walked in
came
the
in
lobby,
and seen your face. You
Deontay
saw you.
Wilder,
You thought you
also
saw a
known as the
ghost,
Chump,
boy.
is
You
walking
knew
straight
I was
towards me.
looking for you, and I told you I was gonna find you.
I want to give him a chance to, congratulate him. He defended his title, and now he's in my face pointing his finger, talking about this, talking about that. At the same time, I didn't have an urban dictionary with me, so I couldn't understand a damn thing he was saying.
And here's all right. Well, that was the clip, and thank you Showtime Sports for that. But according to Breazeale, at the end of the day, he didn't have an urban dictionary, so he couldn't understand what Deontay Wilder was saying. And this is what I mean. These emotions are real. This is going to be super interesting. Deontay Wilder's insane. Breazeale doesn't seem scared in the least fucking bit, even though he's a huge underdog. Hey, I will be watching this fight, guaranteed. I think everybody's going to be watching this fight. We're all excited. I think we have a week and a half or a week left till the fight. The buildup is going to continue to happen, and it's going to be insane. It's going to be awesome. And now we come to the end of our boxing segment. Oh, and this one's good. I'm going to snap boxing version. I found this video, which is pretty old. My friend called me a mark for not knowing that it existed, but I don't give a shit. We're going to play it anyways. It is freaking disgusting. That pissed me off, what I just seen. So let me give you a little bit of a backstory on this. It's a video with Keith Thurman. Keith Thurman is walking down a hotel lobby or something, and he's just making his way down, and all these reporters show up and start asking him questions, you know, about his fights, who he plans on fighting, why has he been hurt so much, all that kind of stuff, which is cool. And since it is a hotel lobby, this is not a planned press conference. There's fans all around this place. There's certain fans. And there's one fan that just takes the cake. So let's listen to some of this clip and see what's going on. This is Keith Thurman walking down the hotel lobby answering questions to reporters, and some fan decides that he knows a lot.
He's been waiting for it, Keith. I'm not ready. We saw the interview, Keith, because of surgery. I'm not ready. Sometime. We'll be waiting. Sometime, Thurman. I'll hand it. And here's my boy. One time. All the time. But hail for life. That's the motto.
And see, I'm going to stop it there because it's just a big old schmoz. I know the audio might have been a little bit bad, but here's what happened. That guy comes up to Thurman and starts talking about how he's ducking people. First of all, he says it in a fucking ridiculously rude way, but fine. Keith Thurman tells him, hey man, the reason why I couldn't fight these people is because I've been injured. I've been needing to heal. So then the guy throws up his fucking hands up to his fat face and starts calling him Sometimes Thurman. Oh, you told us you were going to fight, but then you said, oh no, never mind, not yet. You're Sometimes Thurman. With his giant fucking cheeks saying Sometimes Thurman. Hey buddy, this isn't fucking Twitter. And right there, I swear to God, it would have been great if we would have seen security tackle you to the floor with your fucking fat ass. Are you kidding me? This is what is acceptable nowadays? So we can do this shit on Twitter where we just talk random shit. You go on people's personal Twitters and talk about how they suck and you hope they lose and you hope their dreams burn. And then now we're going to let these guys, these trolls, go there in real life and start doing this kind of shit. I'm sorry, Keith Thurman, son, is way more successful than you'll ever be at anything. You couldn't carry Keith Thurman's jock even if you wanted to, buddy. Get the hell out of here. Don't ever watch boxing anymore. Leave and don't ever come back. You're a fucking cancer to the sport. That's the way you talk to a professional athlete? Keith Thurman, a world fucking champion. A world fucking champion who's worked his ass off to get to where the hell he's at. Who's sacrificed everything to be to where the hell he's at. And you see him walking down the fucking hotel lobby and your first words are, why are you ducking everybody? What the fuck is the matter with you? What the hell ever happened to the days where even if you didn't like a boxer or you weren't a fan of the boxer, you fucking seen a guy, I don't know, at a restaurant or anything, and instead of talking shit, you would say, hey man, thank you for all the years of entertainment. It's been a pleasure watching you. Sometimes I root against you, but you, my friend, are a true inspiration. Nah, instead everybody's gotta act like this is fucking Instagram or Twitter. That was gross. And fat ass, keep stuff in your face. Keep fucking eating those Cheetos and stop. Just fucking stop. Next time, think before you go out and spout this garbage. Idiot. My friend, with your fucking blue shirt that's striped with white, you made me snap. Congratulations. Well, now that I have a bulging headache because that pissed me off, can't see out of my left eye, we're going to go straight into the MMA world. From the professional wrestling ring to in between the boxing ropes, and now we're going inside the cage. Because the UFC had a huge weekend. UFC 237 happened, and man, it was something else. It was a good show in my opinion, top to bottom. UFC, even though they don't get enough credit, even though you had all these people going, oh, the girl fights are main eventing, it doesn't matter. It was a great show. The girls deserved to be in that main event. It was awesome. It was freaking awesome. Anyways, UFC 237 happened. Namajunas versus Andrade at Junessa Arena, Rio de Janeiro, Brazil. Here's some of the stuff that I took from it. BJ Penn versus Clay Guida. Hey, everybody's weirded out because BJ Penn, during the build-up to this fight, was talking about he can't wait to get the belt back. His one goal, is to work his way back up and get the belt back. And quite frankly, in this fight, he looked really good. He's on a 6-fight, now 7-fight, losing streak. Coming into this fight, he was in a 6-fight losing streak. And he looked very sloppy in his past fights. This fight, he looked incredibly good. Guida was racking up the points since round 1, but BJ was making it close. Round 2 kicked off. BJ starts off well. Same thing, composed, good boxing. But he starts getting tired. And third round, Guida, after all these years, after all the wars, after all the blood, the sweat, after everything, after fucking all these years, it's the third round, and he's still going like he's fucking 21 years old. He doesn't get tired at all. Guida finishes incredibly strong, and like Dominic Cruz said on commentary, BJ didn't quit, he just got very tired. It sums up the fight perfectly. It was entertaining as fuck. Clay Guida, you won me some money. Thank you. Winner by unanimous decision, Clay the Carpenter Guida. Post-fight, Guida is all fucking class. The epitome of a true mixed martial artist. We had Anderson Silva versus Jared Cannonier. I mean, that fight I was looking forward to because I'm a huge Anderson Silva fan. Anderson Silva, to me, is one of the best martial artists in the history of the planet. Not just with what he does in the ring, but with how he deals with adversity and the way he carries himself, above all. He's freaking Bruce Lee in real life. He's the modern Bruce Lee. And, you know, it's so obvious that Anderson still loves this game a lot. He doesn't have to fight anymore. Guaranteed he's set for life because of what he's built in the fighting world. It's crazy because this guy seems to be one of those guys we aren't going to see anymore going forward in MMA. He's kind of like the heroes in those old kung fu movies where they still call their coaches master and they still bow and live by that old school martial arts code. It's pretty badass. Like I said, Bruce Lee is what Anderson Silva is. And it's awesome. It's awesome to see something like that. It's something kids can look up to, something adults can look up to, so they don't have to be douches all the time. I don't know, but it was a rough fight for Anderson, and it ended even worse. I mean, Anderson tried to weather Jared Cannonier's strikes. A lot of times he would get him in the Muay Thai clinch, which used to work so well back in the day. You know, prime examples, freaking Rich Franklin. It worked on him incredibly well. But this time, every time Cannonier would get in that clinch, he would just start teeing off to the fullest extent and landing hooks, hard hooks. Eventually, in round 1, when things were, you know, getting exciting, Cannonier landed an inside leg kick, and it hurt Anderson. It hurt Anderson bad to the point where he went down. He got according to what they were saying, he fucked up his right knee, which is fucking nuts because that's a right knee. He just had his left knee destroyed a few years back. It was very reminiscent of that Chris Weidman situation with the horrid leg break. Very reminiscent. First his left leg and now his right knee. Anderson will always be a legend. You know, it's just the body ages. It doesn't matter who you are. You can't stop Father Time. Father Time taps and KOs the fuck out of everybody. And he's coming for all of us, ladies and gentlemen. It's just the way it goes. Winner, Jared Cannonier, round 1, you know, TKO. We had, in my opinion, one of the man who built the featherweight division. one of the greatest pound-for-pound fighters in the history of the sport, who doesn't get the credit he deserves. He gets all the credit he deserves in Brazil, but quite frankly, this man should have been a lot more revered here in the United States. And that was Jose Aldo. Jose Aldo fought Alexander Volkanovski, and Volkanovski did his thing. He grabbed Aldo, he put him up against the cage, and went to work nonstop with knees, punches to the body. It was just the train that never stopped. It was the train that never stopped. Aldo did well, but he lost the fight. By the time the final round came, it felt like Aldo needed a knockout or a submission to win, and Volkanovski finished it with a decision. Winner of the fight, Volkanovski by decision. What can you say? Just because Jose Aldo's been losing, it doesn't matter. It really fucking doesn't matter. He's a legend. He's always going to be a legend. And quite frankly, he's done it all. Fought Frankie Edgar, Chad Mendes, Kenny Florian, fucking Uriah Faber. Destroyed Uriah Faber's body, legs in that fucking fight. Beat Jeremy Stevens back in 2018. Here in February, he beat Renato Moicano. He lost to Max Holloway twice, which is no fucking shame. He lost to Conor McGregor, which is no fucking shame. The man, if he wants to keep fighting, he should keep fighting. There is no shame in losing if your name is Jose Aldo. He's proven everything he's had to prove. I hope he leaves with his head held high. And then we get to the main event. And it's a pressure cooker because Brazil is a losing. This show's in Brazil. Almost every match has a Brazilian in it. And Brazil's not doing so well. So then we have Jessica Andrade, who's in the main event versus Rose Namajunas, and she kind of probably feeling the pressure of having to save it all. Well, what an insane fight to watch. Rose did what a lot of people thought she would do: strike, land, and move out of the way constantly, just like Joanna Violence did. And she was very successful at it. Somewhere at the beginning of the fight, Rose got slammed pretty hard, and it was a nice hard slam, but it didn't seem to hurt her. It seemed to jar her a little, but she was able to recover and keep going. Andrade did what she always does. It's like watching a fucking deathmatch pro wrestler just take the punishment and come forward and never stop. And she never fucking stopped. Jab to the face, hook to the body, kick to the head, and she kept coming and kept coming and kept coming. And it's what makes her exciting. The whole fight centered around Rose's technical prowess, and would she be good enough to evade that one big punch that Andrade could land? Because that's what Andrade is known for, that huge fucking power. She's small and stocky, can take hits, and will knock you the fuck out. Well, Rose avoided getting hit. That's 100 fucking percent true. But the same slam that happened earlier, well, a very similar slam followed in the fight. And that slam said, "Hello, bitches, I'm back. But this time, I'm here to take the side of your face and slam it full force onto the floor." Jessica Andrade is caught in a Kimura, what it looked like. I can't tell if it was a Kimura or an Americana. I don't remember. Andrade lifts her above her head and slams her straight down on the side of her face, KOing Namajunas. And it's safe to say that's going to be a highlight reel for a lot of time to come. And it's pretty funny because I remember something close to that happening when Robbie Lawler fought Ben Askren the first time. And Robbie Lawler picked up Ben Askren and almost Death Valley drivered him straight on his neck. But, it didn't happen that way with that fight. Rose is a bad, bad bitch. There's nothing. What can you say about Rose besides she's the epitome of a mixed martial artist? She's a winner, obviously. She loses some, she wins some. She's been a champion, as Joanna said. Pure fucking class. Joanna Young-Jacek said, "Rose, who cares about the loss? There's something nobody can take away from you, and that's that you reached the fucking pinnacle of the sport with all the odds against you, when nobody believed in you, having to go through your depression, having to go through all these thoughts, through those ideas running a million miles an hour in your head. You fucking did it. You did something that not a lot of people can do." So that loss should mean nothing. She says now that Rose says that she's not sure if she's gonna, come back. She's got to figure it out. And to me, it doesn't matter because do I want to watch her fight? Yes, 100%. But if she decides not to fight anymore, who cares? We're all going to miss her, but it's her fucking decision. And she deserves to walk away if that's what she wants to do. She's putting years into this shit. She won the belt. There's not a lot left she has to prove. She took this fight in Brazil when she didn't have to, against all odds against her. It is what it is. Wins and losses happen. It doesn't make you any less good. Anyways, it was a sick pay-per-view. From BJ Penn to Rose and Andrade to even Nogueira, which made me lose some money. Nogueira getting knocked out in horrible fashion, knocked out stiff. To the one man who took the featherweights to where they are today, Jose Aldo. In my opinion, the card was worth the price, especially if you got that card through ESPN Plus deal. It's not horrible. Brazilians didn't fare too well, but it doesn't matter because the crowd was ravenous as usual. It was a great show by the UFC. And I think they had some performance bonuses here. Let me see if I can Google that. Who got the performance bonuses? One quick second. All right, I'm going to go to Bloody Elbow here. Bloody Elbow, let us know. All right, here you go. Performance of the night. Jessica Andrade and Warley Alves with this insane uppercut knockout of Moraes. And obviously Jessica Andrade with her slam. And fight of the night was Jessica versus Rose, which I agree. It was an awesome fight. All these guys got $50,000 added to their purse. Good for them. Fighters need to get paid. And it felt like the Monday Night Wars all over again, because at the same time, Rose is being slammed, Nogueira is being knocked out, freaking Nate Diaz is being announced to come back in August, and he's ready to fight fucking Anthony Pettis. We have Bellator 221, and at first you're thinking, Bellator 221 can't compete with UFC 237? Are you kidding me? And I'm telling you, I watched it later. My friend recorded it, and I watched it later. And my God, it was a great fucking show. Great show. One, we had Michael Venom Page getting KO'd bad by Douglas Lima. That was awesome. Michael Venom Page is doing all this crazy kicks, all this spontaneity, all this fancy stuff. There comes a point where he has his leg up in front. Lima kicks it, which causes him to fall, which leaves him open to a huge punch to the face. Boom! Knockout. Lima, you would think after doing that, would get up on the cage, start yelling, "Oh, I'm the best." Nope. Calm as a fucking cucumber. Knocks him out and just walks away calm, not even breathing hard, and looks at the crowd. And then he starts celebrating. Sick match. Man, Lima's a favorite in this tournament, in my opinion. One of the favorites. We also had Michael Chandler in another insane grudge match. Man, this was a match that was brought up because Michael Chandler was in a feud with these guys called the Pitbull Brothers. Well, he beat one of the Pitbull Brothers twice. Well, the second time he beat the Pitbull Brother, he said, "I own the Pitbull Brothers." Well, those guys are from Brazil. Those guys obviously take shit talking to the fucking heart. They're not one of those guys who just take it lightly and talk about, "Oh, it's just for promotion. It's just for promotion," a la McGregor. Nah, these guys take it seriously and they get fucking pissed. So Patricio Pitbull knocks him out, lands a clean punch. Chandler goes down. Patricio follows him. That punch misses as he's following him to the ground with it. Lands about 2 or 3 punches. It looks like Michael Chandler is out. But then as soon as the referee gets close to him, Michael Chandler wakes up. So now they're saying it's a little bit controversial. The referee might have interfered too soon. And in my opinion, he might have interfered too soon because even though Michael Chandler got up, it could have been one of those fights where it would have been a fight for the ages. Can you imagine? He gets knocked down like that. He gets back up, and the fight's just going to start going fireworks because these guys hate each other. They really fucking hate each other. However, when I replay it over and over and over, it really does look like he was asleep even if it was a couple seconds, maybe 1 or 2 seconds. It looked like he was down, and he didn't wake up till the referee got there. So I'm thinking the referee was in the right. I would have liked it to go on because it probably would have been a bloody war, but it looked like he was out, in my opinion. We'll see if there's a rematch. Patricio is now fucking champ, featherweight and lightweight. We'll see where this goes. This Bellator show was badass. Mauro Ranallo announcing it made it even fucking better. And the thing that stole the show from me was Jack Swagger, or as he's called now, Jack Hager. Let me see if that's what he's called now. I can't remember. Yeah. So, Jake Hager, or whatever you want to call him. I'm just going to call him Jack Swagger. He fought at Bellator 221, and he fought a guy named TJ Jones. Now, it's kind of fucked up because they're building up Jack Swagger, obviously, slowly but surely, which is what you're supposed to do. You're supposed to do that. I understand, but this guy came straight out of the meatpacking plant. and I'm not kidding. That's really what happened. He works in a meatpacking plant. I'm assuming he fights and trains maybe a couple times out of the week. He didn't look in the best body shape. You know, to his credit, he looked very calm and relaxed, and he looked like he was having the best time of his life because I think he knew that was the last time he was going to be at a big, big show. I don't think he's going to get this opportunity again. And, you know, it was kind of funny because even Chael Sonnen was making fun of him. And Josh Thompson, who was commentating at one of the desks before the fight started, was saying because TJ Jones was dancing in the back, it looked like he was doing freaking Fortnite dances. I don't know what he was doing, but you know, Josh Thompson says, "Hey, you know, some guys have their own thing. Everybody does their own thing. Some guys sleep before their matches. Some guys dance, and some guys hit pads and warm up. You know, it's what it is." So Jack Swagger dominates this fight. Fucking dominates this fight. Beats Tony Jones and doesn't let go of the hold. Or appears that he purposely left the hold on a little bit longer, which pissed off the referee and which pissed off the crowd, understandably. And Jack Swagger goes on to say, "Hey man, I didn't leave the hold on longer on purpose. I thought it was him. When he was tapping, I wasn't going to let him go. I wasn't going to let him go because I was taught that you don't let go till the referee stops it. That's when you let go. The last time I was in a fight, fucking the guy was hitting me and wailing, and I let him go, and I shouldn't have done that. I don't stop until the ref stops it." Well, he starts getting booed, and he had a couple words to say. So let's see what he had to say. Let's see what Jack Swagger had to say at the post-fight interview inside the cage as soon as this fight was over.
What were you thinking? I meant no disrespect, but you're going to have to make me stop to make sure that I get this victory. I thought the ref was him. That's okay. Y'all can boo me all you want because you're not in here right now.
So you thought that the tapping that the referee was doing on you was actually your opponent?
After the last fight, the guy was wrapping around punches on me still when I had it. So I didn't know it felt like him. It happened so fast. But you know what? I'm rock hard right now with emotion. I got a phoner.
Okay, ladies and gentlemen, there you have it. After that win, Jack Swagger is rock hard with emotion. And he has a phoner. Now, at first I thought he said boner. So I was like, what the hell is a phoner? Because apparently Jack Swagger has one. Because he's rock hard with emotion. So let me go to Urban Dictionary real quick. And let me tell you what a phoner is. And I quote, "A phoner is the unexpected erection when one is encountered with or thinks about some kind of delicious food. Or some sort of crazy moment that's happening." So it's an unexpected erection. All right, Jack, we didn't need to know that. We, the people, didn't need to know that you have a fucking boner inside the Bellator cage, okay? However, I love your shit. I'm going to keep watching this guy because he's being groomed. And he has potential. He used to be a great wrestler back in his college days. So we'll see what happens. Boner or not, I'm watching. So, damn, we've ran a lot of time on this already. This is going to be the end of the podcast. There is no I'm going to snap for MMA. Not this week, because that phoner shit had me laughing. I don't have the energy to get angry right now. So I'm going to just recommend a match for MMA, an MMA match. BJ Penn versus Takanori Gomi. October 10th, 2003. K1 Rumble on the Rock 4 in Honolulu, Hawaii. Watch that fight. It brings back good memories of BJ Penn. It brings back good memories of mixed martial arts as a whole. Because Takanori Gomi was hot at the time. BJ Penn was hot at the time. They're in Hawaii, where they love to fight all the time. It was a great fight. Ladies and gentlemen, that is all for today. Thank you for listening. Remember, catch us using the handle @HaveFunOTI, @HaveFunOTI. Catch us on Twitter, Instagram, Facebook. Catch us on YouTube, Vimeo, and SoundCloud. I'm your host, Abe, and I'll see you next week. Have fun on the Indies.